I get annoyed with every single time I touch the steering wheel is the freaking steering wheel controls. This is my 22 Nissan Armada Platinum. So this one is a different one. So I have a family now. You know, we're looking for three rows. But having this vehicle for about a month now, there's already about 5 things I can think of that I deal with literally on a daily basis that I do not like about this vehicle. And that's what this video is to talk about. Talk about things I don't like about this vehicle and what I wish they did better. Let's get into it. So, for the majority of the things that I do not like about this vehicle are all interior related. So let's get right into the first thing that I get annoyed with every single time I touch the steering wheel is the freaking steering wheel controls. I just don't understand. Like, I understand like Nissan, they make a steering wheel to pretty much accommodate so many vehicles. They're not the only ones to do it. Ford does it, everybody does it, right? They accommodate like a nice group of vehicles so they can maximize, where they're putting at so they can save some money, right? But when it comes to the steering wheel, like I believe, like this supposed to be such a good design to where I shouldn't have to take my eyes off the road. And it has to make just logical sense. So look here. You press up and down to track next and track back. And then you go left and right to track for volume up, volume down. Naturally, volume goes up, which means that it would make more sense if the volume button went up and down. And then when you track the trackpad, it makes more sense for left and right to be next track and previous track, right? And instead of making this sloppy looking T design here, they should just made it like a D-pad, like a game controller. It would have been way more intuitive. I wouldn't even have to take my eyes off the steering wheel. Okay? Yes, you get used to it. But whenever I drive a different vehicle and come back to this one, I have to look at the steering wheel again. Yeah, they kind of failed on executing that design. Let's move on to the next one. So the next one has to be infotainment screen related, unfortunately. For some reason, OEMs cannot nail this perfectly. When I say perfectly, I mean there is not one complaint that could be made. So there is not one OEM out there that has a perfect infotainment screen. So I just want to throw that out there. But my complaint about this one is the split screen setup. So if you look over to the right, that is a split from the left. The problem is whenever I go to Apple CarPlay, let's say, and I'm not playing any music, that's what I see, because on the right side, I customize it just to show audio. Yes, I can go through different menus so it can show other things, but I wish that it can just turn it off. That way I can take advantage of the entire real estate of the screen. But instead, I have to choose whichever feature I want it to view. And I prefer to use the audio feature. Main reason is because when I go to maps, right, I can just have the maps taking up most of the screen, and I can also see my audio. But whenever I am not listening to audio, it looks like that. So that's kind of a complaint, because I kind of wish I could use the entire real estate of the screen rather than looking at that. No, it's not a deal breaker for the car, but it is annoying sometimes, especially when I'm not listening to music, and little stuff like that really, really kind of bothers me. So it just seems incomplete when you just look at it. Let's move on to the next one. Wireless charging pad. The wireless charging pad here, I think is a good location. However, OEM wireless charging pads, most of them are complete garbage juice. Like, they either overheat the phone, they don't keep the phone charging, or they just don't detect the phone at all. Might as well not even have it in the vehicle. So because I don't like the OEM wireless charger, I ended up installing my own aftermarket wireless charger that's also magnetic, and it works perfectly. It works literally every single time I put my phone on it, and my phone never overheats. Even though it's exposed to the sun rays, it still never overheats. But when you come over here to the OEM one, my phone is always getting hot or it's never charging. That is a waste of real estate. So I'm probably just going to unplug it. That way it just becomes a cubby hole. Let's move on to the next one. The automatic braking. Ugh, boy, freaking hate this stuff. So, the automatic braking, when I'm going reverse, this thing is very touchy. If I'm going too fast in reverse, the vehicle would hit the brakes so violently, I would almost get whiplash. So there's only a couple ways to turn it off. Like, you have to push this button right here, or push this button right here, or you have to go through the menu on your dash, and then you have to turn them off that way. But whenever you turn the ignition off, right, once the ignition comes back on, the system comes back on completely. So that is a very annoying feature, and I wish that it didn't even exist as far as automatic braking. Let me hit the pole that's behind me, because I promise you I'm a better driver than any of these computers are. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So for the fifth one, that it's kind of annoying at times. It's honestly more of a positive than a negative, but it does annoy me sometimes, is the seating position. I feel like I'm sitting on top of this vehicle rather than more inward like my F-150 I used to have. I had like that perfect positioning where I felt like I was in the truck but above everything. But this one feels like I'm sitting on top of the truck, but I'm not above everything because it's not lifted or anything. So it's kind of an awkward seating position at times. So on a positive note though, I would prefer this seating position off-roading versus the seating position that I would get in an F-150. You get just a better viewpoint, and it just feels better and natural, and you feel safer because you feel like you can control the vehicle better, and you feel more confident because you can see more. Does that make sense? But all in all, these are things that I do not like about this particular generation of the Armada, which is the facelifted version of the Y62. Great vehicle, but there is things I do not like about it. However, I wonder what that Y63 is all about. That'll be maybe a future buy if they can kind of fix the little bugs, because it is a brand new vehicle. But all in all, I hope this was entertaining for somebody out there. So with that being said, if you liked the video, do your boy a favor, hook me up, and also look forward to future videos by subscribing. So I'll see you later in the next one. God bless.